Good evening. I'm Melissa Sorolla, Vice President of Corporate Communications and Marketing at CPS Energy. Oprima estrella cero ahora para escuchar en español. Thank you for joining us this evening for this interactive town hall meeting so we can engage directly with you and answer your questions and listen to your comments. For the past couple of weeks, we've been discussing our rate request of 3.85%. We know that's a different amount that you might have heard previously, and tonight we're going to explain why and what the proposed rate increase would pay for. And of course, we do want to hear from you. This is a live interactive event, and we want to hear any questions and feedback you may have. If you have a question at any point during this teletown hall, you can press *3 on your phone keypad at any time, and you'll be placed in line to speak with a member of our staff. After that, the next time you hear your name, you'll be live on the call and you will be able to ask your question directly. Joining me tonight is Rudy Garza, our interim president and CEO at CPS Energy, Corey Kuczynski, our chief financial officer and treasurer, and Chad Hoopengarner, vice president of strategic pricing and enterprise risk management solutions. Chad's new to this format, so thank you, Chad, for joining us too. For those of you who are joining us on your telephone, you can also watch a video simulcast of this event at cpsenergy.com/town hall. And if you're participating on the live stream, you can enter your name and question below the streaming player. We'll also be monitoring those. And on Facebook, simply leave a comment. Just as a reminder, too, if you need bill assistance or have any other questions related to customer service, our dedicated energy advisors are on standby to assist you at 210-353-2222. And again, that's 210-353-2222. We encourage everyone who is joined to submit your questions because we do want to hear from you and take this time to answer them. As a reminder, press *3 on your phone keypad to ask a question about CPS Energy's proposed rate increase. Oprima estrella cero ahora para escuchar en español. We want to get to as many questions as possible, so we're going to kick things off with Rudy, who's going to share details on why we're asking for a 3.85% rate increase. Rudy, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Melissa. And I want to start off tonight by thanking Alyssa, our ASL interpreter tonight. Alyssa, you're doing a good job, and I know you're in for a long night tonight, but thank you for joining us this evening. And Armando is our Spanish translator. Armando does a good job every time we do one of these teletown halls, and I just want to thank Armando and Alyssa today for being part of our program. I want to start off tonight by just stating that, we recognize it's always difficult when CPS Energy or any utility, quite frankly, comes forward asking their customers, who have quite frankly experienced a real difficult, couple of years, not just a year. This year alone has been difficult with Winter Storm Uri and the pandemic. We recognize that it's been a challenging time for our entire community. It's been 8 years since any leader from CPS Energy has stood before our board and our city council and ultimately our community, asking for them to invest additional dollars in the work that we are required to do for our community. Fundamentally, CPS Energy is responsible for providing electric and gas service to our community. And when we see signs of stress, it's our kind of financial responsibility to come forward and have a conversation with our community about what the need is and why. The 3.85% rate increase that we've been discussing over the last couple of weeks with City Council. We'll have another conversation tomorrow to answer any questions that they might have that remain. Really is focused on 4 key areas, along with an additional request of paying down some fuel costs that we incurred, obviously, over the winter storm that Corey and Chad will provide more detail on. Our rate increase will cover just a few fundamental investments that we've got to make to keep our service levels up and keep doing the job that you expect us to do every day. And we've got 3,000 employees, actually at numbers down around 2,900 right now, who come to work every day, that our request really is intended to help ensure that they have what they need to do their job. infrastructure reliability, the investments we're making in our system to ensure, our service is reliable, that our power plants are ready for both the summer and a winter peak. We're certainly investing more in our system to ensure that we do the job you expect us to do, each and every day. Technology, we've got aging systems that you use every day to pay your bills and to reach out to us when you need, to connect with someone, to pay our vendors, and to conduct payroll, all the things that businesses need to run. Our system's 22 years old, and it's time to start planning for the replacement of that core computer system that it takes to run our business. Growth, San Antonio is growing in every direction right now. We're setting 20 to 30,000 meters a year, and we have to build new power lines, build new substations, build additional transmission to make sure that our systems are robust enough to handle the growth that continues to come to San Antonio. And finally, investment in our people. As I stated, we should be at around 3,300 employees. Right now, we're down around 2,900 employees. That's roughly 400 employees below what is optimal for a utility our size, with 1.2 million customers in a growing economy. And we got to catch up. We've got a lot of retirements coming. We have been holding the line on hiring people over the last couple of years to try to make our financials work. And we've gotten to the point where that is no longer sustainable. Our people need help to respond in times of crisis, during regular days and during bad weather days. And so investment in our employees and our people is that fourth component. And then, as I stated, there's an additional component related to the fuel costs we incurred in February that the team will talk about tonight. So fundamentally, that's the ask. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, and I look forward to doing the best we can to answer your questions. I'll turn it back over to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Rudy, for that insight. And for those of you just joining us, you are on the line with CPS Energy leaders who are talking about our proposed 3.85 rate increase that will go towards infrastructure resiliency, technology, growth, and people. If you have a question or comment on the phone, please press *3 to be put in the line to speak. The next time you hear your name, you'll be live on the call. And if you're online, simply enter your question in the box under the streaming player. Oprima estrella cero ahora para escuchar en español. We are going to go to our first online question, and that comes from Timothy Thatcher. And Mr. Thatcher asks, how do you justify a cost increase when there are ways to reduce operating costs by being more efficient versus passing those costs on to customers? And Corey, we'll turn it over to you to handle that question, please.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. And thank you for the question. It's a fair question, and it's one that we should be talking about. So Rudy mentioned it's been 8 years since we've asked for a rate request. In part, one of the key drivers for us to be able to do that was, in fact, trying to pull out costs from our operating business. Since over the last decade, we've pulled out about $900 million in costs. They come from a variety of different places. Operational savings, whether it be at our power plants or back office savings. We have found savings from refinancing of debt. That's actually one of the positives that comes from having a utility with a very strong credit rating. You're able to finance debt at a lower interest rate, and we've gotten savings from that. And so we've squeezed a lot of savings out of our organization over the last decade or so, and that's been a big driver for what's enabled us to go this long without asking for additional support. Like Rudy said, we're at that point where we do our assessment every year, and we began the conversation this summer as we looked at how the year was panning out, and we're here today because I think we've hit that limit. So hopefully that gives a little context on the types of savings and how much we've saved over that time frame.
Thanks, Corey. And we are going to take more of your questions in just a moment. And Corey, we're actually going to go back right to you. And we've been talking about a need for a rate increase since late spring. And at one point, we discussed around a 10% increase. Talk to us about how we got to where we're at today and explain that rate case process for us.
Yeah, so a conversation about a rate request, it's very iterative, right? And we look at it from the perspective of this is a community-owned asset. What is best for the community? So we had early conversations. We recognize that there are a number of issues that CPS and the community need to address going forward. What we ultimately did about a month or month and a half ago was partner with our board and our regulator, the city, and look at our approach. And what we said to ourselves was, okay, it's been 8 years. Let's focus on the immediate financial pressures that are facing CPS Energy. Let's focus on the known information we have now. And let's also acknowledge the other items that we need to address in our future, whether it be generation planning, whether it be rate design, things of that nature. Let's acknowledge those, but for the purposes of this rate request, let's only focus on those near-term items for the next 12, 24 months. And so when we took a look at it from that perspective, ultimately this is the number that we've come back to. What we've often said is over the last handful of weeks is we really began this process just a couple of weeks with City Council formally. Our first formal presentation to City Council was on December 1st, where Rudy and I presented the 3.85% base rate increase. So I think that's important to recognize. We have conversations with our board. Numbers got picked up on the media, and that happens. But our first presentation at City Council was this request that we're hearing about today. What you'll also hear from an approach perspective is, we're going to look to have these conversations with our board and the City Council and the community much more frequently. So there's a lot of issues out there that we're going to have to face that we'll discuss as a broader community. I mentioned generation planning. What's the future of all of our generation fleets? We know that the spruce plants get a lot of attention, but we have an aging generation fleet, broadly speaking, that we're going to need to address over the next 5 to 10 years, and there'll be cost implications to that. We also have talked about the impact that CPS Energy has felt from customers that have been struggling to pay their bill over the past year and a half for the pandemic. One of the new pieces of information that we have now that we did not have back in the summer was the fact that the city of San Antonio was able to receive federal funds to support customers paying their utility bill who have been impacted by the pandemic. So right before Thanksgiving, City Council approved $20 million of federal funds to apply to CPS Energy. And what that does for us, it allows us in the near term to help those customers who are most in need and need that support. And it helps our liquidity position in the near term as well. So what that enables us to do as part of a rate request is buys us time from having to think about a strategy of what recovering for those dollars may look like. So there's no recovery for past due accounts from other customers in this request. So that's really helpful, I think. And so those are two big changes that we've, that in our new approach aren't in this request, but they are definitely things and factors that will be future items that we'll have to talk to the community for. But there's so much uncertainty around how those will play out. We're not going to recover any more dollars than we need to until those complex policy issues get played out. So hopefully that helps, Melissa. I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Corey. And we'll come back to you, of course, with more questions. And just as a reminder, if you're just joining us right now, you are on the line with CPS Energy, and we're talking about our rate request. And we do want to hear from you. So if you are on the phone, press *3 to get in the queue to ask our panel a question. And if you're online, simply submit your question in the box under the streaming player. And just another reminder, Corey talked about ARPA funding, and our dedicated energy advisors and our crew team members are out in the community helping customers get connected. And if you have any customer related questions, please call our energy advisors at 210-353-2222. Again, that's 210-353-2222. We do have a live caller on the line that we're going to go to next, and we are going to call on Miss Rose Hill. Rose, you are live on the call if you want to ask your question.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Excuse me. My question to CPS Energy is: I hear all the ands and ifs about what of the cost that the rate increase for the taxpayers are asking us to accept the rate increase. But my question is that was there prior planning done to all these things that you're asking us, and why isn't the federal government coming in and helping us more and taking the burden off the taxpayers? Because right now we're being faced with 3 bonds of the city, Bear, city, and school bonds, and now we're asking for a tax rate increase. Can you explain that to us? Explain that to me, please.
Thanks, Ms.
Sure.
Hill. Rudy, you want to go to you first, and then Troy, if you want to chime in.
I'll take that one. First off, we don't get tax dollars. Every dollar that comes into CPS Energy are dollars that our ratepayers pay ultimately through the utility rates. CPS Energy is not, a recipient of federal tax dollars. Those dollars typically will go through a governmental entity like the city or the county, the state of Texas, and we work with our partners across the state, as Corey mentioned a little while ago, to try to find funds to help our customers with utility, payments that where there are there are dollars available for that purpose. So in and of itself, CPS Energy doesn't get a whole lot of federal funding to fund our operations. We certainly spent time during the legislative session earlier this year in the spring, asking our state officials to look at policy at the state level to help, quite frankly, help our customers, who we knew were going to ultimately be on the hook for a lot of what failed in the market earlier this year. Unfortunately, there were some proposals to provide some funding, but those proposals ultimately did not make it through to become law. So we continue to fight the good fight. We're in litigation right now, with a lot of our natural gas suppliers that we believe charged us, and really all utilities across the state, what are unconscionable, illegal prices. We've got about $600 million that still remain in dispute. So between the work we've done with the state and our continued legal fight, trying to offset some of the dollars we believe are not appropriate, we're doing the things we can do to try to find ways to reduce the burden on our utility customers. But unfortunately, the utility sector really isn't a place where a lot of federal dollars go to help offset costs.
Thanks, Rudy. And thanks, Ms. Hill, for that question. And again, as a reminder, if you're just joining us tonight, you are on the line with CPS Energy leaders who are talking about our proposed 3.85% rate increase. And this is an interactive event, and we do want to hear your questions. So if you have a question, please press *3 on your keypad at any time to get in the queue to ask questions. Again, that's press *3 on your keypad at any time to get in the queue. And if you're participating online, you can submit your question below the streaming player. We're going to go back to an online question, and this is centered around reliability. And the question is whether or not with this rate increase, we'll be able to provide stable electricity in the event of another cold weather event. So Rudy, I'll go back to you for that one to chime in there.
Sure. Thank you for the question. And that is precisely what this rate request is all about. Every investment that we have talked to our city regulator and owner about is to take the $73 million roughly that will be generated by the 3.85% increase and put it right back into our system. We got to have the people we need to operate our system. And so, that certainly has an impact on reliability. We have invested $2 million this year and really in the last 9 months. And I've got to give credit to our power plant employees who have been working hard, getting ready for the winter season, who kept our plants running through the summer peak season during the hottest parts of the year. They've done the work needed to do to ensure that our power plants are ready to go, starting January, February, when we expect the temperatures to start dropping. But there's more work to do. We got roughly $31 million worth of investment we have to make over the next 2 years to be compliant with the regulations that are coming down from the Public Utility Commission through ERCOT for work that we still have to do that will continue into the years ahead. And we've got, as our community ages, the poles, the wires, the transformers, we've got work all over town that we've got to invest in to continue to replace aging infrastructure that will continue to age the further down the road we get. So every penny of this investment is to ensure that our systems are reliable to serve our customers. So absolutely, this request is fundamentally all about ensuring that we provide the service that our customers expect out of us each and every day.
Thanks, Rudy. We're going to go to another live caller, and we have Geraldine Last who would like to ask a question. Geraldine, you're live on the call.
Thank you. Yes, my question is that I am a customer of Gray Forest Utility, and because of that storm with ERCOT charging all of the utility companies extra money for the gas, they already increased the rate for all those customers at $14.55 a month. And that started in September, and that will go for 8 years because they took a bond out for $22 million to pay the fee that was charged to them. So my question to CPS is, I'm already paying for gas services from Gray Forest, and I just wonder if you're going to prorate your rate to us so that we're not paying two utilities for the problem with that storm that we had in February. I didn't have any power from Sunday evening until Thursday morning. So during that time, I didn't have any service from anybody. But I am a retired military veteran who's 84 years old, and I just was wondering on the fixed income, can something be done that we're not charged just a flat rate because we happen to be CPS Electric? That is my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Last, and we're again apologize for that experience. Corey, we'll turn to you.
Yeah, sure. I'll start. And thank you for the question and fair question. And, pardon me, you're right about Gray Forest. There's actually a number of utilities across the state and surrounding states that have done exactly what you described. They've already begun passing that cost for fuel onto their customers. We have not done that yet. So just to give you a little bit of context of what our plan is, you've heard the number about $1 billion in fuel is what we were charged. We have only paid $418 million of that at this point, and we haven't recovered any of that from any of our customers. So that hasn't gone through anyone's bills yet. The remaining $587 million, it's disputed. We haven't paid any cash for it. We're not asking anyone for any money right now. We're going to let that play out and litigate and fight that like Rudy talked about. If you are so what we're proposing as part of this rate request is actually to begin some recovery of those dollars. Now, we often talk about our customers from a combined electric and gas perspective, but you're unique. You're an electric-only customer. So while Chad's going to talk about the details of the bill impact, I would say that from your gas perspective, you would not be paying CPS Energy for the natural gas on a distribution perspective to us, and then also paying Gray Forest. So you wouldn't be double paying. What I would tell you from a strategy perspective, our strategy for that $418 million that we've paid so far and have not yet recovered from customers ultimately is to do something similar, take that out from a long-term debt perspective. But we're going to spread that cost out over 25 years to our customers because we want to specifically focus on minimizing that bill impact to all of our customers. From a combined bill perspective, that's about $1.26 a month, so not $14 or something super high. And we think that's much more tolerable. From your perspective, and Chad may know the numbers off the top of his head, as an electric-only customer, your number would be a little bit less than that. So from an affordability perspective, that was the approach that we've taken from how best to recover the costs that we have to pay for fuel in a way that dampens the impact as much as we can to our customers. And we keep our eye on affordability too. The other thing that we keep our eyes on is, hey, how do we compare to the rest of the state just from a bill perspective? And generally speaking, we're pretty competitive near the bottom in terms of the lowest. Even with this rate request, I think we'll be more kind of middle of the pack, but still very competitive. And then, I know you're on fixed income. I don't know, we have a number of programs as well for customers that qualify for our affordability discount program. If that is applicable, the recommendation we're making as part of this rate request is to actually offset the base rate component of the bill to customers, which is about a $3.85 reduction. So that's another kind of proactive step we're taking for those who qualify. Hopefully that gives a little bit more context as to our approach and how it's a little bit different and hopefully a more modest bill impact to you that would come from CPS at least.
Maybe Rudy was going to chime in too, if we could get him off mute. There we go.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to add one element. For CPS Energy, different from Gray Forest. Gray Forest is just a natural gas provider, so they're pushing gas through, pipe to get it to their customers. We have a gas system too. Certainly, our gas, system costs were high. We didn't lose gas during the event, but certainly we were paying what we believed were exorbitant, unconscionable prices. But we also use natural gas as a primary fuel for a number of our power plants. And so for us, the impact was really, on both the gas and electric side, which is why we're fighting so hard to try to, to protect our customers from the entire impact of the $1 billion, price tag. We typically spend about $1 billion in fuel cost over the course of a year. We saw that in a matter of 1 week, which we believe is just completely unreasonable. So I just wanted to point out the difference that we were impacted on the power plant side as well as the natural gas system side as well.
Thank you, Rudy. And we know bill impact is very important to our customers and they want to know more about that. So Chad, we are going to turn to you to talk about the potential bill impact for the average residential customer. And we say average, we mean average, the use that they are using. If our Board of Trustees and the City Council both approve the proposed rate increase in January. So Chad, turn it to you.
Thanks, Melissa. Good evening, everybody. Bill impacts are a complex thing to calculate. A typical residential customer uses between 1,000 and 1,100 kilowatt hours a month. For this base portion of the increase, the 3.85%, that's about a little less than $4 a month on the bill, $3.80 to $4. That's for that base portion. Now, Winter Storm Uri that you've heard others talk about this evening, the portion that we've paid, the $418 million that we believe are reasonable fuel costs, we've paid those, and that will pass through on the bill in the fuel portion of the bill. That's about $1.26. Again, this is for an average customer that has both electric and gas service. For the caller that had the question about electric only, if Gray Forest is passing through a certain amount and they are an electric customer of CPS Energy's, they would only see maybe 2/3 of that $1.26. The rest of it would be, for the gas portion of the bill. So in total, for the base rate increase and the Winter Storm Uri fuel costs, it's a little more than $5 a month on the bill. That's for a typical or average customer. Of course, not everybody is average. So we actually have some tools to help customers more precisely see the impact on their bill. You can go to our website and we have a bill calculation tool. You can take your current month bill and type in your utilization, your usage for both electric and gas, and it'll tell you what the bill would have been had we already implemented the rate increase. So I'd encourage everybody to go and see that. There are other tips, rebates available on our website. I'd also encourage you to use My Energy Portal because that really helps you to see exactly what you're using and when, and you can implement tactics to reduce your bill that way. Now, I do want to add that $5 is for a customer that is not on our affordability discount program. That is a tool that's available to customers that really are in need of assistance. And as Corey mentioned earlier, that's going to offset almost 100% of the increase, of that base rate increase. And of course, all of this is contingent on first our board and then our city council approving our proposed rate increase, hopefully next month.
Thanks, Chad. And you mentioned a really great tool with the Bill Estimator, and that is on our website. And for those of you on the phone, it is cpsenergy.com/rate case. There's also some great information there too related to all the presentations that we've given over the last couple of weeks to City Council and some other Q&A that we think will be very helpful to everyone. So please, we invite you to check those out. We do have another live caller, so we'll go to Beverly McKinley. Beverly, you're live on the call.
Thank you. My question is, I know we're always asked to conserve our energy, which I agree with. But my concern is I drive around my neighborhood and there's so much growth going on that I'd like to know how CPS Energy is going to be able to provide power with all these businesses and homes with or without another Arctic blast.
Thanks, Beverly. And growth is something that we definitely need to address. So, Rudy, I'll turn to you.
Yeah, so growth is one of the kind of four key components of of our conversation right now regarding our rate request. And we've got a really great planning, and we've got employees that all they do is look to see where the growth is, and we try to get ahead of where we believe customers are going to be, whether it's a home or business. 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of time. We're planning for the lines that we know are going to have to go, for substations that are going to have to be built, for new transmission line that may be needed, and ultimately for the power generation associated with the supply needed to serve a growing city. And so we've got plenty of supply in our system right now. We've got roughly 7,000 megawatts of total generation that we're able to utilize on any given day to serve our customers. We do need to have a conversation with our community about the future of our generation plan, and so that's going to be a longer term conversation that we'll have with the community almost immediately as we finish with this rate case process. We'll start talking about the type of resources that we're going to need in the future to serve a growing economy. It's a great question. I feel good that we've got the supply we need for the growth that's happening now. But those plans take 5-10 years to get in place to ensure that as older generation is coming offline, we're replacing it with reliable generation in the future. And that's a community conversation about what type of generation that's going to look like. And, we've certainly been investing in renewables. We certainly natural gas, and we've got a little bit of coal that we're having a conversation about right now on what to do with in the future. We've got some nuclear. So, our strategy, which has been a winning strategy, quite frankly, for the community, has been a diversified portfolio. And we believe that will need to continue to be an approach going forward that will allow us to be both environmentally responsible, which I believe we have been over the history of our company, and affordable and reliable, which is important to our customers.
Thanks, Rudy. We're going to go to another live caller, Julie Hodge. Julie, you're live on the call.
Okay, I've already gotten some of my questions answered just by other people's comments that were made and the response. But I just want to be sure I understand and can get a confirmation. It sounds to me like the rate increase is going to help with upgrades to the machinery and to the operating business of running CPS. And I can't see where there could possibly be a problem with getting upgrades if you've been operating with old technology, old machinery, I don't know. So I stand corrected. If you can just clarify for me exactly what the rate increase entails as far as upgrades, or, what it is that's going to be better for CPS customers.
Great, thank you.
Well, yes, ma'am. Yeah, you said it as well as I could. This investment that we're asking our customers to make in our system is completely about serving you. I think when you look at the service we provide today, I know February was a rough event. We know we have to continue to make investments to ensure that CPS Energy has done its part to make sure that we're prepared, the next time those type of storms happen again, and they will. We want to make sure that we've invested in the resiliency that it's going to take, to serve you and to ensure you have a better experience the next time we have a really tough storm come through. Our systems getting old. I mentioned the aging infrastructure, our systems that you use to contact us. All of those factor into the overall customer experience that we want to ensure our customers continue to have the best experience we can possibly offer. And quite frankly, I don't want you thinking about going to that light switch and turning it on. I certainly want you, to be efficient with your usage, and make sure that you're not using more than you need so your bills are affordable. But certainly when you want the light to come on, I want that light to come on, and you really to not think a whole lot about CPS Energy, quite frankly, other than the fact that we're there for you when we need us, when you need us. And that is what this request is about, is ensuring we can continue to do the job, ma'am, that you expect out of us every day.
Thanks, Rudy. And we're doing really good on time, so we're going to be able to take a lot more questions here. And just as a reminder, if you're on the phone and would like to ask a question, please press *3 to be put in the queue. We will go to Sharon Roos next. Sharon, you're live on the call.
Thank you. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you. Do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, you're live on. You feel free to ask your question.
Okay. I was very blessed in that when we had the storm in February, I didn't lose any of my electricity. And so I wonder, if this is going to be, from what I've understood, the charges are not going to be that high, but they're just going to be increased, because I was thinking, what kind of charges, how high are they going to be? Because I'm very careful about my electricity, and I don't use it unless I have to. And a lot of times when it's not cold enough, and it's cold, but it's not cold enough in the house to turn on the heater, I don't turn on the heater. If it's not cold enough in the summertime, I turn on the air conditioner. But if I can get by without it and using fans, I do that. So I'm just wondering, is that going to influence how much I'm going to be charged?
Absolutely, ma'am. And one, thank you for saving energy. And two, Chad, why don't you talk about bill impact again?
Yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely. The rate increase applies differently to different people who use more or less. So if you're very efficient and you only turn on the heat once it gets really cold outside, that's what my wife does, then you're not going to be impacted by as much. You have sort of less than average usage. But for our customers that maybe have more people living with them, or a larger home, and they do utilize more electricity, well, they'll be impacted a little more than the average. So the numbers I was talking about earlier are really sort of for the average utilization of our customers.
Thanks, Chad. And thanks again for that great question. We have another live caller. We'll go to Pablo Rodriguez. Pablo, you're live on the call.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been listening to your rate increase requested, and I know that's for future plans on replacing and repairing the infrastructure and equipment. My question is, how CPS prepare for this coming winter in case of another bad weather event hit the area? How are you going to keep us online? Do you have the equipment necessary for this coming winter so that don't happen again?
Okay. Well, I believe I will take that question, Melissa. We have been, the last 9 months, we have had a lot of community, input into looking at what happened in February and making recommendations on things that the community thinks that we need to focus on to be more prepared this winter. And, our employees have worked really hard to take the feedback we've got from the mayor appointed a committee on emergency preparedness led by Reed Williams, who subsequently now chairs our rate advisory committee and will have input significant input into this rate request. They meet on Thursday afternoon, and I invite anybody to listen in on their deliberations. You can go to our website and type in Rate Advisory Committee. But there were really a few key areas that we focused on. The investments that we needed to make in our power plants to winterize equipment to ensure that we have heaters where they need to be, that we build temporary enclosures around areas that normally we're trying to get heat out of in the summertime. In the wintertime, we got to keep heat in. So you really have kind of two different, engineering designs that you've got to be able to pivot to during the winter season. And like I said earlier, we spent $2 million this year over the last 9 months. Our power plant employees have done an excellent job of preparing our power plants. We no longer do scheduled maintenance in the January, February timeframe. We've moved the scheduled work. We do have to take power plants offline sometimes to do just regular maintenance, just like getting an oil change on a car. We've got to do that type of work for our power plants. So now we're doing that in the September, October, November timeframe, the March, April timeframe before the summer. And so all of that work will be wrapped up this week. Most of our units are already back online. We've got 3 remaining units that we've still got a little bit of work to do. 2 of those will be back online this week. We've got one that will be back online in early January. So overall, our power plants are, ready to go for the winter season. The other thing that we focused on is the system that we use to manage outages. When ERCOT asks CPS Energy and all the other utilities across the state to do what we call control outages, what that does is protects the ERCOT system. The ERCOT grid is an interconnected grid. All the utilities, Dallas, Houston, Corpus, the Valley, Del Rio, San Antonio, Austin, we're all connected together and we share power across those lines. And so what we've done is when ERCOT sees that there's more demand than supply, we've got to balance those two together so that we protect the system from completely going down. And we got really close in February within about 5 minutes of the system, completely, going dark. So when that happens, the system we use to really rotate outages around the community, it didn't work the way it was supposed to, because it was 5 times more load that they were asking us to shed to manage controlled outages than we had ever experienced before. We reprogrammed that system. We put more of our customers into the system. There are customers going forward. If we see another event, more customers that maybe didn't experience an outage last time will experience a minimal outage this time, but everybody's experience will get better because we'll be able to manage to a 15-minute off and 15-minute on, or an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, really depending upon the size of the event. Our load system, our system to manage what we call load shed has much more capacity to be able to do the rotations in the manner that it's really supposed to work. So we've spent a lot of time in both of those cases with our power plants and with our operation of our wire system. We've had independent third parties come in and validate that what we have done will do the job, for our customers if we do find ourselves in another event. And then Melissa and her team have really revamped how we're communicating with the community. So what you can expect to hear from us in the future, the lead time that we're going to try to give you when we see the possibility of an event coming, the action we're asking you to take, the collaboration with SAWS and the city on the message that we're putting out in the community. We have spent a lot of time working together to try to get that right. Communication was probably the biggest gap in February that we have really tried hard to close. And I think you're gonna find that our message, in any catastrophe like what happened in February, there's a certain amount of chaos that you can expect, in trying to find the right community response. But I do believe we're going to be more prepared, and our messaging will be stronger in a future event. going forward. So the power plant, the work we've done on our wire system and communication are really the three key areas that we believe are going to put us in a better position this coming winter and in the years ahead.
Thanks, Rudy. And this is a great reminder for us to ask all of you to make sure your emergency contact information is updated through our Manage My Account system. If you go to our website at cpsenergy.com, you can update that by logging into Manage My Account. And we're going to ask you for your communications preferences, whether it be email, phone, text, and of course your language preferences too, so that we can communicate to you in the event of an emergency. Some of you may have also learned about this event through a text that we sent out last week, so we do remind you to do that. Next, we're going to go to an online question, and this comes from Lauren Kimry. Her question is, how much new revenue does CPS bring in daily with new residences and businesses always coming online? Are we just front-loading your infrastructure improvements? So Corey, I can turn to you for that response.
Yeah, so, growth is important. Like Rudy said, we're adding, 15, 20,000 customers a year. I'll kind of size the request with the size of our budget to start with. We have about a projected $2.9 billion budget for next year. To put that in context, the rate request that we're asking for is about $73 million over an annual period. So, as a percentage basis, kind of smaller percentage there. There's absolutely incremental growth, revenue that we get through customer growth. But the way we have our pricing set up and established, we're not prepaying for anything, so to speak. So the incremental revenue that we talked about, that $73 million, about 50 million of that is attributable to just keeping up with the system growth, right? There's customer growth and there's system growth. And so there's natural benefit that we get from community growing, but there's also the need to increase the per unit price, so to speak. And so that's the angle that we have come out with this rate request.
Thanks, Corey. We're going to go to another live caller, Jaime Perez. Jaime, you're live on the call.
Hello, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate it. I'm not really sure what roles the folks on CPS have. I'm not sure if we're speaking with executives or middle management, but my question is, this rate increase that you all are proposing, that's fine and dandy if you guys are proposing it because you're basically passing the buck to the customers. Most of those who suffered through that winter blast that didn't have power for 4 or 5 days, and some of us actually lost, either family members because of this or income because some of us could not work. My question is, in seeing in the news all these issues that are happening at the executive level with, Mr. Fred Bonewell, who's spending $700 on a meal and $54,000 in expenses that were paid out of the public funds, what is CPS doing to do oversight to avoid having these kind of issues? Because eventually this is going to end up becoming another rate increase eventually to the customers. I mean, this is really just negligence at the highest levels of CPS.
Mr. Perez, you are on the line with our interim president and CEO, Rudy Garza. So Rudy, I'll turn it to you.
Yes, Mr. Perez, thank you for that question. And, again, ultimately, I'm accountable now. I'm about a month and a half into, the board asking me to step in as leader of CPS Energy. And I can assure you that the things that you've seen in the media are not, systematic. We are a publicly owned entity. Our culture is to reflect that of a publicly owned entity. And, we have had instances that are, really isolated, that, where, we didn't, an individual maybe didn't do exactly what they should and lead in the way that they should have that reflect a publicly owned utility. I can promise you that every time, something like that is reported, my leadership team and I talk about the accountability that we owe you, our customers. I don't use my purchasing card for much of anything other than, maybe paying for parking, at City Hall when I got to go see the city manager or visit with a council member. And quite frankly, I think that is what is reflected in a good portion of our leadership team. So the board right now is passed a resolution yesterday to take a holistic look at our expense report policies to ensure that they're where they need to be, and we have systems in place to ensure that we catch those things when they happen, and we make course corrections as we go. I am very well aware we're a publicly owned entity, and my expectations of my leadership team, our managers, is that we're spending every dollar wisely. The expense issues that have been reported are not in any way, shape, or form drivers of this request, nor will they be in the future. We quite frankly, due to the pandemic, really over the last few years, one of the things that certainly we have found savings in is, in our expense and travel, practices. I haven't been on an airplane in 2.5 years, quite frankly, and I'm not really looking forward to get on one, soon. So we hear you. We know we've got to do better, and I can assure you that as leader of CPS Energy, I'll be accountable for those type of issues within my organization.
Thank you, Rudy. We do have time for one final live question, and that is going to be from Deborah Schmidt. Deborah, you're live on the call.
Thank you. How is a person on a fixed income supposed to survive your increase?
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Corey, you want to take a stab at that one?
Sure, and we get that question a lot, and the first place I normally point people to is the various programs that we have available online, and I know Melissa probably has the links to all of those tools. The number one tool that we often talk about, if you qualify, is the Affordability Discount Program, and what that effectively we're proposing in this rate request is to offset the component of that increase for customers that qualify. And we're also proposing that we increase the size of that program from up another 14,000 customers so that the program can enroll up to 65,000 customers. But I'd also say that, and Rudy has mentioned this a lot before, if you're ever having any issues paying your bills, call us. We have a team that is always willing to work with you, get you on a bill payment plan if that's necessary, or installment payments, things like that. Anything we can do to work with our customers. What we're trying to do with this particular request is to have a modest impact as we possibly can to our customers, and then surround that with the tools to help those customers most in need. And we recognize, again, like Rudy said at the beginning, this is a conversation we don't like having, but it's necessary every now and then. So for those that need the help, we believe we've got a program or something for everyone. So please do give us a call or look up the programs online as well.
Thanks, Corey. And for those of you with online access, that can be easily found on our website at cpsenergy.com/assistance. And also, if you come into any of our walk-in centers, our energy advisors will be able to help you in person. And again, too, please don't hesitate to call us for assistance at 210-353-2222. We are coming to the end of the live event this evening, and we do thank you for taking the time to join us for this important conversation. We're going to continue these conversations over the next couple of weeks, and we hope you continue to follow us. There are several in-person events, too, that we're doing across the city, not only with our council people and our elected officials, but throughout the community. If we did not get to your question this evening, please leave a voicemail after the event by staying on the call when we end, and you'll be transferred into our voicemail system. You can also send us an email at feedback@cpsenergy.com. And again, that number to call for bill assistance or any questions about your bill is 210-353-2222. Please visit our website again and click on upcoming events for details for those in-person opportunities. We have teams there that really love to help our customers day in and day out. And before we leave, I'm going to turn it over to Rudy for some closing thoughts. Rudy?
Well, thank you. Look, as I said, I am very new in this role, and I want to take a moment to thank my board for giving me an opportunity to lead. I've never met, I've never seen a company as committed to their customers as our frontline employees are every day. I see them out there, in the rain, in the heat, day, night, weekends, holidays, doing everything they can do to ensure that you have the service that you need to live your lives and to do the things that you do in business to feed your families. And as I said, it is not. This isn't an ask that we take lightly. We're going to continue having these conversations in the community right up until the time that council ultimately takes a vote on this request. I want to thank the city staff who have put a ton of hours in, along with Chad and Corey and our team internally at CPS Energy to try to get this right. And that's the goal here, is to get this right, to ask what we need to shore up our organization financially, all in the hopes of doing the job that you expect us to do. We will be in every council district. Will have a town hall that you will see myself or one of our leadership team members participating in, answering these questions just like this. And we welcome the challenge. We welcome the accountability. We welcome whatever you have to tell us that we will sit and listen to you on. We just want the community to understand that this request, it's not frivolous in any way. We are trying to be as thoughtful and as realistic and as compassionate as we can possibly be in what we're asking our community to support us in. And again, it all amounts to doing the job that you expect of us. And we know there are always things we can do better. February taught us there are scenarios that will materialize that we have to plan for. And we've got to do a better job of planning. And I think this year we've done a lot of that good work that's going to set us on a good course for the future. So for anybody who still has questions, again, we will answer every last question that we have that you have for us. But I just want to say thank you to all the customers who listened in, who took our call and stayed on, to all of those who had the guts to hit the button and to ask their question of us. That is what we're here for. We're here for you. And again, I just want to thank you for being our customers, and know that serving you is certainly my privilege and is the privilege of our team. We love the work that we do for San Antonio. We love being employees of CPS Energy, and we're going to continue to work hard to make you proud of the job that we're trying to do for you each and every day. So, Melissa, thank you very much for hosting us tonight.
Thank you, Rudy, Corey, Chad, and thank you again for everyone that's joining us. We will have numerous events over the next couple of weeks to talk to you in person, because we know that's important. We also ask that you visit our website, cpsenergy.com. You'll find the bill estimator where you can see what your bill could look like. You'll have information about how we can connect you to ARPA funds that are also very important in our assistance programs. And then also you'll see our events page with additional opportunities to engage and ask questions about this rate increase. So thank you again for joining us, and have a great evening.